Well, good morning, folks. This is the Bearded Mouse cast. You have the Bearded Mouse himself, James Butler, and you have my
Hey,
co-host.
Chase Pomalis right here.
What's up, Jace? How are you doing today?
Hey, good brother. How about yourself, man?
I'm doing good. So, you been to Disney in the last week?
You know what? I haven't. We had fast passes for yesterday and did not make it out.
Okay, cool. Um, so yeah, a lot has happened since last podcast. I haven't been to Disney either. Trying to plan on going possibly next weekend, maybe. We'll see what happens. But we'll get on to our first stuff of the day, and that is the news. We're going to talk about the Disney After Hours that they have at Magic Kingdom. And basically, what this is you can pay extra money. It comes up to be $149, and it's basically an extra ticket you pay for, and it opens I think at 7 o'clock, then it closes at midnight. And what that does is the park closes at 10 for regular guests, and you get to go from 10 to midnight. And you get free ice cream that is only for you only can get this special ice cream for that ticket, and you get free drinks all day or all that whole night for that ticket price. And if you're a pass holder, that's on top of whatever your pass was cost, or if you already bought a day ticket, this is on top of your day ticket. So what do you think? What do you think about this? What do you think about the Disney After Hours?
I think it really only appeals to a very certain and select group because I honestly don't see annual pass holders being someone who's going to go and join or spend that extra money to go late at night when they can go at any time. They have all these days throughout the year. Really, you're talking to spend the price for them about a little bit more than a quarter, more like a third of what their whole entire pass for the year costs, just to get a little extra time with some of those rides. So I don't really see it as being appealing for the pass holder. I see it being appealing more for a tourist who's coming in and maybe from another country or flew far away here in the States, wants a little bit more extra time, didn't feel like they got that full experience because of how busy the parks were when they were here. Just that particular group.
Yeah, I see it being really good for like if you didn't have a ticket or didn't have a pass, because you
Hmm.
don't have to have a day ticket to buy this ticket. This is almost like I might be wrong, but I'm 90% sure it's just like the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas, where you don't have to have a day ticket to get that ticket. It's an extra event you can pay separate for. So if I was someone coming from out of state or far away, and I showed up, and instead of paying for the whole day, you can pay from 7 to midnight for $150 basically, and there's no one in the park after 10,
Right.
except for people that's on that pass. So I think that in the summertime it would be better because it's cooler at night, less crowded. You're paying for basically a VIP experience because I've seen some photos on Facebook of the opening weekend, and people got some amazing photos with their children in front of the castle with no crowds.
Right. That's right.
Walking yeah, walking down Main Street with nobody there, and it's just these little magical photos people can get because of this. I think if I wasn't a pass holder and I was coming here on a vacation, instead of paying for a full day at Magic Kingdom, I would probably pay just that little extra and get just that afternoon for my family and enjoy the. You could do all of Magic Kingdom in that little bit of time.
Right. Do we know does it include any type of parking, or are you still paying park it
You're
separately on that?
I think you're still paying parking because you have to get to the ticket window to
Right.
buy the ticket. I don't, because if you buy a day pass, I think you still pay for parking. You
Right. I
know,
think so too. I think you're right with that. So it's interesting, I guess, because say for example, I come down from upstate or up north. I come down here. That gives me the opportunity to actually be able to hit Universal maybe with the family, and then once I get done there, head straight on over to Disney and utilize some of that nighttime. So for someone like that, I can definitely see where it would be advantageous.
yeah. You know how Magic. I mean, for people that's never been there, Magic Kingdom's a totally different world after dark. Like it's a totally different place. I mean, it's even extra ordinary. When the lights are on and the way it looks.
Now, would this be for all parks, correct? Or
No, just Magic Kingdom.
oh, just Magic Kingdom. Okay.
Yeah, and I feel like that they're slowly probably going to get rid of the extra magic hours. That's my opinion. I'm speculating because if people are going to pay for it, why would they offer it for free?
That's true. Unless, for the ones that have it as part of a resort stay or,
Right.
part of the package.
Yeah, yeah. So something else that came up is that over at Animal Kingdom, they're just working on the Avatar Land or whatever they're going to call it. I guess it's called Avatar Land, but they're working on that, and that's supposed to be done in around 2017 or 2018, I think. But the creator of Avatar has announced that he will be making a lot more than an extra movie on that series. There'll be basically 4 more movies coming out. Basically, it looks like it's 2018, 2020, 2022, and then 2023. We will have Avatar movies. What do you think about that, Jace?
I am a big fan of Avatar. I love Avatar for many reasons, but I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be great. 2023, I can make it to then to watch all of them, so I'm good to go.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so also I seen in the Orlando paper, this might have been a couple weeks ago, but Disney was talking about basically taking out Magic Bands and using your phone instead of your Magic Band for your My Magic Plus. Basically, I guess you would use your phone instead of the band to get into the park, to get fast passes, to maybe purchase things. With the new technology with Apple Pay and Android Pay and stuff like that, I guess they're kind of going that and wonder how much money they really spend on Magic Bands for resort guest people, throughout the year. They would be saving if they did that. What do you think?
Man, good question again. So, really a couple things come up, and I think we talked about it a little bit earlier. But okay, so what if your phone dies, right? You go through, you get in, you scan it, and then you're running. Because I know me, when I go to Disney, I'm running the Disney app, right? Because I can plan my entire trip, I can change my fast passes, I can map out where I want to go. Everything's right there that I need, right? I utilize battery when using that app. I can see my phone dying maybe a couple hours into my day, and then what? Where do your fast passes go? Now, if we continued to use the Magic Bands, I could see that being effective, right? Because hey, it's either or. Do you want to use your Magic Band? Do you want to use your phone? You have this option to use your phone to do that. But to just say, hey, we're going to move it to the phones, we're going to take away the Magic Bands. I really don't think that's going to be very effective. Also, one more thing I'd mention is just the convenience of trying to get your device out to get it scanned before you get on a ride. Right now, you just take your wrist, you put it there. It's a pretty seamless action. It allows a pretty quick movement through the fast pass line. I could see people like digging in their purse, trying to pull out of their pockets. Just even that extra 2 seconds per person is going to add tremendously.
Right, yeah. Because we Walt Disney World is the only place that has Magic Bands. Disneyland, the original Disneyland, doesn't have Magic Bands. They All the other Disneyland parks around the world don't have Magic Bands. Walt Disney World is the only place that has it, and it's kind of unique. And but yeah, I think you're right about the battery life on phones. They're going to die quick. And what are you going to do when you park hop and stuff like that? It's going to make it really hard for people. So, let's get into what our topic of the day is, and that's Disney's Hollywood Studios. A little fact of the day about Hollywood Studios is it was opened on May 1st, 1989. And the name it started was Disney's MGM Studios. The entrance to the park ticket price for adult was $29, and the children's price was $23. That's pretty amazing for what it is today.
Yeah, let me put my shocked face.
Yeah, yeah.
Like my Home Alone.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
crazy because that we've come a long way from there. And what's funny is as the park becomes, and I know this is temporary, right? I get that it's not a permanent thing, but as the park becomes smaller right now, as they're working to expand and build, it seems like the prices continue to go up, right? So, you know, for me, unless you kind of have a pass to all the other parks, it's kind of a lot of money to spend, but $100 or so to go to just Hollywood Studios right now.
Right, right. And that's what I was thinking about the other day when I was looking into all this and we were talking, thinking about doing this topic. Like basically half the park is gone for construction. You would think that maybe they would give some kind of discount to people just going to that park. You
You
know,
would think.
you would think, yeah, yeah. But they're not doing that, and but we can talk about some stuff that is open there, and maybe get your opinion and my opinion of what we think about this for people that are planning on going to Hollywood Studios. We're gonna start out with something. I don't know if a lot of people know it's even there, but I've been to it one time, and that is the Beauty and the Beast live action show on
I'm a
stage.
huge fan. I'll tell you right now, the wife and I went and did it. It was cool. I liked it. I actually kind of got immersed in the story. I felt like I was watching a live run through of Beauty and the Beast. I think it's very well done. The cast members do a great job with that. And for those who don't know where it's at, if you are walking down to Tower of Terror, it is on your right side, right before you get to the attraction. You'll see it there. And it's one of those things you kind of got to get there a little bit early for, because there's certain times for each show. And if you get there a little late, it's going to pack out. You may not get a seat. I recommend that, though. It's definitely one of those hidden gems, I would say.
Yeah, and for it being an outdoor theater, it is in the summertime a nice cool spot with the fans on, and it's in shade, and it's kind of like it looks like it goes into the ground a little bit the way they have the auditorium built. So you're kind of like when you walk right in, you're a lot higher than the stages, so you have to go down. But when we went, we were all the way at the top because we didn't really know about it. We ran into it at the last minute, and we had all the way at the top seats, and it was still a good show. You
Yep.
could see everything very well, and with my four girls, they loved it too. So on to another child or a young child thing. Disney Junior live on stage. This thing I think is pretty cool if you do have smaller kids. Just know when you do go into that theater, you're sitting on the ground. There's no seating. You're on the ground. And it's kind of like they try to pack you right on top of each other. So you're going to get to know people very well. But it is a fun experience. Kids can get up and dance and play, to the music. And if you do have younger kids, it is something I would recommend to go, but make sure you get there a little early so you can get a closer seat, so it's nice and roomy. Do you have anything to say about that one, or you haven't been to it?
I've been to it actually. Strangely enough, my wife and I went went by ourselves with no kids, and
Yeah.
it was really funny because there were just millions of children. I'm being exaggerating, but there was millions of children. There was oodles and oodles of children everywhere. Yeah, but no, you're right. They pack you close together. You sit down, and then there's these little fun sing along songs. And if your child watches the Disney Channel, and watches some of the Mickey Mouse shows and some of the current shows that are on there. A lot of the songs they're singing are from the current shows and current episodes. So I found myself a little behind trying to like learn the words. These kids were killing it though. They knew every word, every dance, every move. It was fun to watch, even as adults. For adults, so it's not something we'll probably go back to, anytime soon. It's one of those things like, "Ooh, what's this? Oh man, we're the only adults in here without kids. Awkward."
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think about Phantasmic?
um, I I've always been a fan of Phantasmic, in all honesty. I just, for me, it's outdated. Like a lot of things at the park, it's one of those things that really needs an upgrade. It's really building kind of on an old legacy, and yeah, I get that, but we need to have something more contemporary, and something that kind of like that, how that the new show that we were just talking about is, it has a lot of stuff that are from the current show, that kids can relate to. There are not a lot of kids when they are that really know much about Phantasmic.
Right, right, right. Yeah. I mean, I guess on a kid's standpoint, my kids really liked it because they saw the princesses do the little parade through the water. That was pretty cool. It was kind of, with the fireworks, it was cool. I mean, the whole thing to me, I like it. I like it. And it ain't something I would do every time I went there, but it's something that if someone was like, "Hey, I'm going to Hollywood Studios," I'd be like, "You need to see the show. You need to try to catch this show because it is a one-time kind of. I think everybody would enjoy it their first time. It gets a little repetitive, and I think that's something that around Hollywood Studio, that's kind of the unspoken that everything needs to be updated.
Right.
But I am I like old school Disney stuff. I mean, I get, thinking about Mr. Toad's ride right at Magic Kingdom and all these different little rides that have left us, or these different little things that have basically been changed to other stuff.
Yep.
And I miss that old Disney feel, but when it comes to something that's supposed to surround itself around movies, you got to stay updated. You got to stay on top of things. So what do you think? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so, honestly, I agree with you, though. If you haven't been to Fantasmic, it is one of those shows that you really do need to see. And honestly, it's cool how it's kind of recessed way in the back. It's in its own kind of little area. The things I really don't like about it, I guess, is like the quality of the imagery with like the water when they're spraying that up. It just looks very, very old. The technology seems very outdated.
Right.
And that's more what and the thing too is like with Fantasia, like a lot of people haven't seen that in the newer generation. I think there needs to be a re-push of that, if anything, if they're going to be having a themed ride for, not a ride, but a themed show for that. So,
Right.
Just some of the things I wish they could step it up on there, but the whole concept and where it's at, I think it's great. I think it's a really cool way to end your evening.
Right. And they have that nice little food court kind of thing where you can get
Mhm.
some, neat little food to eat and snack on. Also too, I thought this ride or this show was going to go away, and people might see when we talk about these different things. Hollywood Studio has a lot of shows, and I enjoy the shows, but something I thought that was going to leave us, and it's still here and still around, and it's going to be here for a while, is Indiana Jones's Epic Stunt Spectacular. I think that's how you say it. But this is basically a action show that they basically put you as behind the director watching the Indiana movie be put together. And I think that, I mean, I watched it one time and I enjoyed it. I thought that some of it was kind of cheesy, but it was pretty interesting in how they basically pretend how movies are made, and I thought it was pretty neat.
Yeah, no, I like it. I've always been a fan of the Indiana Jones. Honestly, when I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but I moved here from California, so I had annual pass at Disneyland as well. So I got to see a lot of major differences between the two. And one thing I really like over there is their Indiana Jones ride that I've always wished we had over here. That I thought was really neat. There's a lot of things that are a little bit different, but I really like the way that we do things here in Orlando. Indiana Jones has always been a classic. It's always been something that Disney is associated with, and it's one of those things that relaunches every few years with a new cast. Well, not so new cast because I know we still have we keep the original gentleman around, but Harrison Ford.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think who was it that was in there last time? Shia LaBeouf, I think, was in the most recent run. So it's one of those things that you can constantly keep going, and I think that's why they're probably keeping it around. Is there something coming out in the future?
Yeah, I think there is a new one coming out. I think there is a new one coming out. I think Harrison Ford is making him being on back at the new Star Wars movie. He kind of is trying to make another jump for some couple more movies before he's not doing them anymore. So one thing I've never experienced this, and I've always seen this when we walk by it going through the park, but it's the Jedi training at the temple right there as you're going into the little spot that is designated for Star Wars.
Right.
I always see it, and I think it's interesting. I know that a lot of different parks in the Disney World realm have these little things for kids to dress up like a character, and Magic Kingdom has Bippity Boppity Boop Boutique for the princesses. They also have Pirates of the Caribbean for the guys or girls, and then over here at Hollywood Studios, they have the Jedi experience for kids. Now, but my kids have never done it, and I've never really stayed around and watched the whole show. So, but it is kind of cool because you see Darth Vader come out, and that's always cool to see him around.
I think it's really exciting in general. Once you're speaking about that, I guess is the Star Wars themes that have been going on. It's such a major change, even from a year ago, or Hollywood Studios is, and how they're doing things. And for those who haven't seen some of the things that have been going on, other than the Jedi training, there is that giant center stage when you're over back there now, that's completely dedicated to Star Wars and Star Wars themes. The fireworks, I think it's called the Galactic Spectacular now, has been
Right.
changed to all Star Wars themes, Star Wars music. It's such a cool feel because it's not only about like the way that it sounds and the cool music, but the visuals and how the fireworks are timed so perfectly with key points in the music. You just really get this awesome Star Wars vibe when you're there. And speaking of, other than that, they also have that live stage. Where is it? By the Great Movie Ride is what I was talking
Yeah, it's right in front of it.
Yep, and they call that a galaxy far, far away. And it's cool because then they have like Kylo Ren. They have some of the stormtroopers out there. They always have different members of the cast out there, and kids seem to love it. I like it. I think it's an awesome feel. There's also little dance parties going on back there.
Right.
Really neat what they're doing as far as the whole Star Wars thing. And also, one more thing about that, they are gonna be upgrading the Star Wars tour ride, which is great because that has been the same for a very, very long time as well. It's the same one that I used to ride when I was in California, the same exact one. But they're upgrading it. They're bringing in some of the newer characters, and so we can expect to see a newer version of that, which will be pretty cool.
Right. Yeah. They have kind of did like so that whole Star Wars tour ride is pretty cool. I like how it has a randomization of you're never going to get really the same show back to back. Every car is a different show at different times of the day. So I love that effect of it. It it makes it very, you want to go on it every time you're there because you're like, well, am I going to get the same one? And the way they try to find the rebel inside the thing. I think that's pretty cool too. Also, too, while we're on the Star Wars jump here, the Star Wars launch bay is a brand new thing they have there. They used to have I think the art of animation there where you could go in and see how they draw different characters, and it was mostly for meet and greet for just off to the side characters that they had in the park. But now when we went there, it was Chewbacca and Darth Vader. Yeah, that's always our biggest guy. We're the fans of Chewbacca. He's a bearded mouse. So and that was pretty cool. They take their job really serious. They stay in character the whole time. If you are there, just know that if you see any stormtroopers rolling around, they don't take selfies. You go try to take a picture with them, they tell you to keep moving along. Quit causing a scene. So it's pretty funny how they're really locked down in what they're doing. And it is a good experience because when you walk in there, some of the scenes of the movie, the older movies, are right there in this room, in this building. And as Star Wars Land gets built, we're going to see these whole scenes where you're just walking right into a movie. And I think that's what's going to be so amazing about this new setup. To go on to something else here, what do you think about the Great Movie Ride?
Well, so
needs an update, right?
Well, supposedly they updated it like a year ago and added a couple more things. I forget what it was that they actually added, but it's like one of those things you do once and you never want to kind of do again because it's very long, it's very slow, it's very old school. It takes you through a very long. I honestly think and I hate to say it for all of you who are huge fans of the Great Movie Ride, I just think it needs to be taken down and redone. There needs to be a lot of updates to it, and not that I don't like the old school. Don't get me wrong, because it tells a great story. I just think the manner that it goes about it really only encourages you to want to ride it once, maybe twice in your entire time. It's not one of those things that you're going to want to go back to because there's no changes. It's the same story. It's going to be the same thing over and over again. So as people continue to go to Disney, I think maybe, hey, what about another one? What about not tear down the original, but let's add another one or another side to that. So there's a different thing, some of the newer stuff, and that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like I would like to see. I like the ride. The ride's like it's a nice place to chill and cool down on a
Cool
hot
down
day.
for sure.
If you're ready for a break and want to sit down for a little bit, that's a good ride to go on. But I would like to see it where it's a great movie ride. So why would it not start really old school movie like westerns, gangsters like they do in the beginning, but as it goes, get into the newer technology of movie making.
Yep.
With CGI and they could probably show you here's a green screen and then project what's going on that green screen on another screen. And I think that would be pretty cool because there's a lot of new technology how they're doing these new movies. How they did the new Planet of the Apes, how they did the new Superman movie, how they're going to do the Avengers with how they do all the CGI effects. So it's something that needs to be addressed, and I would think that need to be done if they're going to put all this money into the park. Why leave some 1980 thing going on? So, but
most of the rides there are just pretty are pretty much the originals, other than like Toy Story is probably one of the newer rides that are actually at that park, and that's been there for years.
Yeah, and that's always going to be a long wait too.
Always. And then like Tower of Terror, kind of jumping around a little bit, that was built back in '94, right?
Right.
That's been more than 20 years. Rock and Roller Coaster, it's another great ride, but again, how relevant is Aerosmith and a lot of these rock stars to the current generation? People who weren't born in the 70s and 80s probably would have no idea who half of the characters are. The ride itself is great.
Right.
It's just kind of what can we do there? How can we what's going to be more appealing to the mass population? You know what I mean? And I don't think it's going to be the rock stars. The ride's fantastic though. The way you take off, I love it all. I think it's great. I just think maybe what can we do to incorporate it and bring in more people, make it more appealing?
Yeah, I think it's I mean, I only rode the ride have one time because the fast pass is really hard to get, and the only time I've ever rode it was under extra magic hours when we stayed at the park. So what I think too is, and here's a little fun thing, when you're going through the queue and you walk into the studio and you have Aerosmith in the studio and their band managers there, and she's like, "Oh, all y'all are coming with us to the concert," and she goes to count them, and she says one. And that's all she says is one. And then she says, "We'll need a stretch limo." Here's why she says one. Because she needs to they need to make sure that they appeal to just if one person's the only person on that ride. If only one person shows up, they need to make it where it feels like it's there they are. You know what I'm saying? They can't say 1, 2, and then someone looks around and be like, "I'm only right here." Like, this is not real. They're trying to give that real effect. So that was pretty cool with that. But I think, what if they, with the new Marvel movies, I know they can't really do anything with Marvel because of the licensing, but, well, they can't do nothing with the Avengers. But what about if they would have reskinned that ride as a Guardians of the Galaxy?
Right, and there's rumors out there of Guardians in the Galaxy something coming to Hollywood studios. There's just not really much information about it, so that would be really cool.
I know you're riding that rocket, listening to the mixtape, Volume 1.
Yep. That would be cool. You feel like you're Star-Lord. I absolutely love it. I think that's the idea we need. You need to get you on the Disney cast for engineering and design. Let's go, Jim.
I'm probably not the only person that had that idea, though.
I think it's great, though. I honestly love Guardians of the Galaxy. I can't wait for them to do another one of those. Also, speaking of rides, I know I mentioned Tower of Terror, built in '94. Did you hear the rumors about what they're trying to do with that?
Oh, well, I know it's I think it's more than a rumor. I mean, they're building a bar, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I guess it is more than a rumor, but yeah, a themed bar in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Gift shop. I think it's because they had success with the two other bars that the two other themed bars that they've built at Disney. One's the Hangar, and then I can't think of what the other one is. But those were a hit for them. They're successful. They're busy. When you're going through the park and you're just like, all right, time for a drink. Let's get some adult time in there. Hey, honey, or you have someone take the kids on a couple of rides and you want to take a break for a minute. That's a great place to go. Switch the wife out, let her go get a couple of drinks, take the little one out. Man, I can't wait.
Well, yeah, and there's nothing wrong on a hot day having a cold beer or beverage, or some kind of icy drink. I have always been a fan of a Dole Whip and some rum. So.
Yeah, you're speaking to you're speaking to my heart.
Yeah.
Right
so I mean, I think that they have to. I hate to say this, but with Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure, they really promote the alcohol. You know what I'm saying? Everywhere you go around there, you went there just a couple of days ago,
yep.
And everywhere you turn, there's a beer stand or a drink stand or a theme bar to go to. So, and I think theme bars are the new thing. Before, remember how it was like old dive bars and just rackety old hole in the wall bars were just the thing. And to me, it's still a thing. I love hole in the wall bars. But right now, I'm into that hole where I want to step into a movie bar or a bar that, especially Twilight Zone. Like, come on, how can
exactly? You walk in there. Let me get a drink. What drink?
Yeah.
I really love the themes. I don't know if you've ever been to Ice Bar out in Vegas, or there's even one here on I Drive here in Orlando. But you walk in there, you got to wear a giant fur coat. Everything's made of ice. Your cup's made of ice. Your seats are made of ice. The bar's made of ice. You're not just going, and it's really little about the drink and more about the experience. And I think that's what Disney's doing. You see all these, like you're saying, you go to Universal, you go to other parks, there's beer tent here, beer here, alcohol there. They're coming through and they're putting something with character. So it's not so much 100% about the drink, but that experience too. It's like, hey, if I'm going to have a drink at whatever ridiculous price that it's going to cost, I want to do it in this cool setting and feel like I'm part of the movie, feel like it's this whole experience. And I think it really appeals to this new generation. We're all about visual. People really like to see things. They like to feel like they're a part of it. It's that experience. And I think that's fantastic. I'm excited to see it. I'm going to go get a drink there. When we get back on, I'm going to tell you all about it. Like, it's great. Twilight Zone's fantastic.
Yeah. And I think that's what it is. I think we are a visual generation. You know what I'm saying? I think that you have to feel comfortable where you are, and with having, so just say if your favorite movie was, The Avengers or Iron Man, if you could have a drink at Stark Tower, you know what I'm saying? Like, how cool would that be? Or if you could have a drink in, Batman's Batcave, like all these cool things that could happen with different ideas. I mean, I know Disney can't do anything with Batman and stuff, but they got a lot of characters they could do stuff with, and I feel like that's going to be the new norm. So we can. What do you think about the Muppets 3D? I know it's going to still be here, and it's going to be here in the future. So,
the thing with Muppets. I don't know. The thing with Muppets is I think it's always going to appeal. It's one of those things that's kind of just always been around. They're always making more Muppets movies, Muppet shows. It's one of those things that kind of like Mickey is. It's always constantly being done. The characters don't really change. You really still have some of the same original characters and everything. But I really don't have an opinion for it. I guess either way, I like it as a 3D show. I like 3D shows. Those are always some of my favorite things to do, even when I go to Universal. I really love those kind of shows, but I guess I enjoy it. And honestly, I've been to it more than once, so I guess I don't really have anything too bad to say about it. Like anything, I just wish they'd update it a little bit more, and that's only for me because I go to it more than once, so it's like I see the same thing every single time. But I get where it appeals to people who are coming from other places who haven't seen it before. Again, it's another way to cool down, relax, stay indoors during some of those hot Florida days, and just kind of sit back and watch Miss Piggy. Hiya!
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, there's two more left on my list. I hope I didn't miss anything, but the last two are The Voyage of the Little Mermaid and Walt Disney's One Man's Dream. So, The Voyage of the Little Mermaid is basically a show on stage, and it's a great show. I think they do a really good job at it. I also think that it's a little dated. I mean, if they're going to the direction they're going with all this other stuff, I guess here's what my problem is they have Star Wars launch bay right there in the center, and then you have Disney Junior and Little Mermaid. You would think that they might have would have left that whole corner for younger children. You know what I'm saying? Like something that would appeal to all ages, but basically with the Disney Junior kind of age and Little Mermaid. So you have this like crazy, real live action Star Wars, thing going on. Guys in white suits running around and crazy Jedi's, and then you have Little Mermaid. So, so
Stormtroopers from the Force Order.
Yeah, I know. See, so yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, they could do some crazy shows in that theater. I think that would be cool. But I like The Mermaid. My kids love it. It's a good show if you do have girls or boys. It doesn't matter that like The Little Mermaid, or if you like The Little Mermaid, it'd be a good place to go. Also, too, I did forget one other one I just thought of is the Frozen sing-along. Greatest sing-along show. It's funny. It's so hilarious. And if you get this, I forget the guy's name, but there's a guy that basically is the host of the show or the narrator of the show. It's a guy and a gal that narrate the thing. And if you get him, he basically changes the jokes up every show. He never does the same joke. And some stuff is on script, but he kind of tries to make it interesting for people that go more than once. And it's just so funny because, like, I'll just say this one little bit about it. Kristoff walks out and he goes, or him or the girl, but somebody says, "Luke Skywalker, where have you been?" And then he does a Jedi mind thing. The other guy does a Jedi mind thing on her and said, "This is not the Jedi you're looking for." So it's kind of they kind of like bring in modern what's going on with Star Wars into this Frozen sing along and other stuff that goes on with Disney movies into this sing along. And like I said, it doesn't matter what seat you're in, it's a great seat. And it's awesome. I mean, my kids love it, and if I went there with just my wife, I would stop and watch it too.
My wife and I went and watched it by ourselves, and
oh man, I lost Jace.
I'm back.
Oh yeah,
back.
Here he is.
So I was saying, my wife and I went, and it was one of the funniest experiences we had in a while, because the kid who was in front of us happened to be this little girl, and her dad sang a couple of the words wrong of one of the songs, and she was just like, "That's not the right words. That's not the right words," and just was bawling over him singing like 2 words incorrectly, and it was so funny. And then you just look around and you see every child like belting these songs out from the tops of their lungs, like they're in the happiest places in the world. Let it go! Like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? You're not even on pitch. But no, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And if not only the show, the kids around put such a smile on your face because of how happy and how much joy they're having singing with that. I've definitely been to it. I love it. I like Frozen. My little baby cousin, I kind of consider her my niece because I watch her and take care of her all the time. But my little baby cousin, she loves Frozen. So it's one of those things that, like, if there's nothing else in the park that we're going to do, that's what we're going to do. It's going to be the Frozen sing-along.
Yeah. It's a great show. So have you ever been to Walt Disney's the One Man's Dream?
No, negative.
Okay, so if you walk by where the Little Mermaid is, like you're walking to Toy Story, like going to the Pixar area,
right?
It's a little spot. It says Walt Disney's one's man's dream, and it has Walt Disney right next to a door, and then it's a shadow of Mickey Mouse
Yep, I know
on
what
the
you're talking.
wall. Okay, so when you go in there, it basically tells the history of Walt and things he's done, and it has like different movies he had part of, and how he was an innovator when it came to bringing cartoon to live action movie. And at the end of it, they have this like little kind of movie about Walt Disney at the end. But they have changed the movie. It's not about him at the end. It's basically a sneak peek of the Jungle Book movie.
Cool.
So it's something cool. I mean, I hope they leave it because it is like a memorial to Walt Disney. And it's always fun to see stuff about Walt inside the parks.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's his creation, man. He's built such a beautiful, amazing empire for all of us to enjoy there. And speaking of the Jungle Book, they had a huge opening weekend so far. Absolutely incredible. That's one thing that I am going to get out and watch sometime this week. I didn't make it out this weekend. It's a little crazy. But I can't wait to see what Disney does as far as incorporating that into the parks. And I'm really excited to see some of the future of that. I've always been a huge Jungle Book fan.
Yeah, yeah, and that's something I enjoy too. Is I see that Disney's coming out with a lot more movies. You know, they had Maleficent, that was kind of that kind of story. Now they have the Jungle Book, and they're going to come out with Beauty and the Beast. And I guess some of these movies live action won't stick to what the old cartoon was, but it's a good move for Disney to make something that's going to appeal to the new generation.
Yep.
And remake some of these movies into live action, because I don't think, unless it's a Toy Story movie or a Pixar, I don't think I'm really going to go see a cartoon in theaters.
Nope, you're right.
I mean, Pixar, I'm down. I'm going to go watch it. And also, too, there is, they said that, instead of also with Star Wars Land, they're going to be doing Toy Story Land there, too.
Yep.
So they're not just trying to build within the footprint they already have. They have a lot of land beyond the park that is just wooded area or abandoned area that they own, that they're going to extend this park bigger. So it will be, a park that people are going to go, and hopefully it takes a little bit of the crowd off of the other parks, makes it kind of level out a little more, so it ain't all slam packed at Magic Kingdom and slam packed at, well, it's never really slam packed anywhere else but Magic Kingdom, but hopefully it may bring that, crowd off of them a little bit, and make it where everybody can enjoy it a little easier.
Yeah, I think it is. Really, I think we've covered a lot of great information.
We did.
A couple things I just want to touch on, just for some quick tips if you're going through there. I love turkey legs. So for any of you turkey leg lovers, there's a place to get turkey legs at Hollywood Studios. I tracked it down day one.
Right.
It's on your way to Tower of Terror. It's on the left side. So there's a couple of neat things that I like that it's on that little left walk while you're walking down there. There's an awesome little sweet candy shop where you can get like caramel apples, all kinds of Disney themed chocolates, candies. There's a good gift shop there. But what I really like is sometimes you're just running around the park and you just need a little bit of energy to kind of keep you going. They got a little market right there where you can pick up oranges, apples, fruits. It's like their little outdoor market, and for Disney, it's actually fairly reasonable price. So for a couple dollars or a dollar or something, you can get yourself an orange, and that'll just give you a little bit of energy and health to kind of keep going. Also, right next to that is where the pins are. I know for those who are pin collectors, who do a lot of Disney pin collecting, my wife and I do. It used to go under the hat. That's where everything was, right? Under the big giant Mickey hat that got tore down. That's where you would find your limited edition pins. That's where you find all the cool ones that are out there. Those have moved over right next to where that market is. It's on that left side if you're walking to Tower of Terror. And they still have all the limited edition pins there. They're behind a little glass right behind the counter. And they'll take those so you can see those as well. They have a lot of really cool Star Wars ones right now, and different ones coming up. I know I just picked up a new Alice in Wonderland limited edition pin the other day. And then right past that is where the turkey legs are. Turkey legs, and they're not just good; they're fantastic. I love turkey legs. If I recommend anything at the park, it's the turkey leg. And then the last thing I'll mention too is you were talking about James, the property that Disney has. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the awesome project that they're doing to help make it themselves more carbon neutral and really help with our environment. And
Oh yeah. So well, it's already done. What they did was Disney World basically took 22 acres of land and made it into a solar field. Um, Basically, it has a bunch of solar panels. It has 48,000 solar panels. They partnered up with Duke Electric to make this happen. If you don't know what 48,000 solar panels look like, it basically, if 1,000 residential homes had solar systems, it would be, yeah, to be 1,000 rooftops of solar systems. That's how many this would do, 1,000 homes. Also, too, it's in the shape of a Mickey head. So if you're flying in, I'm pretty sure you can see some of this when you come into Orlando Airport. But if just look up Mickey head or solar panel Mickey head, and it's huge. It's crazy looking how they did it, but I'm glad they're kind of doing that. And I really don't know how much solar. I'm not too good at what solar energy does or how much it will generate, but it has to be better than what they're doing now. So that's pretty good. Also, too, at the end here, we did have a fan question on our Facebook page. If you do get a time, go check our Facebook page out. It's the Bearded Mouse Cast. When you search on Facebook, we're also on. This video will be on YouTube later at the Bearded Mouse Cast YouTube. The fan question was, what's going to be open or closed or what's closed and what will be open by Christmas? She says it's all very confusing. And you're right. It is all confusing. It's confusing to us sometimes. We didn't really do a lot of research on it or look into it. We really don't know where the borderlines are. I haven't been there since they put the walls up, so I don't know where the walls are. But I do know that whatever is closed that we did not talk about, what we talked about is there now. So there's still a lot of stuff to do. But with the park, basically the property being cut in half, there's going to be a lot more people packed in one area.
Yeah. In that regards, and I'll just throw it out there. So what's closed for, what we haven't exactly mentioned. So lights, camera action, for that closed back on April 3rd permanently. So if you're ever going back to that back corner, that's now done. That's being torn down and something new is being created there. The Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movie set adventure, that also closed permanently on the 4th, or on April 3rd. And then Pizza Planet is closed, later this month. And there's a lot of stuff that are kind of being worked on during the summer time. So I think, you kind of hit it on the nail there. What's kind of open is probably what's going to remain open. I think maybe closer to the fall or the end of 2016, we can start to see some of the new things unveiled. It's kind of unfortunate and fortunate, I think, that we don't really know what is what, because they really are working really well to keep some of that level of secrecy so they can kind of unveil something spectacular and really bring about that magic experience again. And then a lot of other things are kind of speculation. Hey, we're doing this, we're doing that, but to what extent? You know what I mean? A lot of that hasn't been revealed. So, and then another thing that closed, it's going to be different for anyone who's gone to Hollywood Studios every year, is the Osborne Light Show's gone now. I love the dancing lights. That's one of my favorite things in the entire earth. But it was the last year. It was gone last year. Siemens was sponsoring it for the many years there. And for those who don't know the story, I highly encourage you to look it up. The Osbournes, this started off at a home. They ended up getting so many legal issues due to their neighbors hating their display of lights getting bigger and grander every single year. Disney decided to buy it and host it at Hollywood Studios. And last year was, unfortunately, the last year for it. I don't know what's going in its place, and I really don't see it being taken down without something spectacular having to replace that, because that was one of the best things I've ever actually encountered. I got great video I'll post up sometime, that it was from this last year's. It was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, we went the last day. Day it was open, and I went to go buy a "It's a Wrap" T-shirt for the thing, and I think there was only like maybe 100 T-shirts left, and then they told me the price was like $30 for this T-shirt, and I was like, "Well, do you have a 2X or 3X?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "Well, I can't buy them out buying something I can't wear," and then find out them things are double that on eBay right now.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, they've went up, and that's the thing. I don't know what they're going to do in place of it. It was magical.
Incredible.
It was crazy, but we'll get into another episode another day. That whole thing's another episode. We'll talk about some stuff that's gone from the park, maybe abandoned or left behind. Disney has taken out. That'd be a good episode to do. But until then, we love y'all guys. Thanks for coming. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, like the video, check our Facebook out, and we're out of here.
We're out. Thank you guys.